Hello, listener. My name is Eric, and I am here to read to you the first and last pages of every book in my shelf.
Berlin, 1931. When you knock a bowl of sugar on your host's carpet, it is a parody of the avalanche that killed his mother and father. Just as the dog speak that your new girlfriend's lips form when she attempts a seductive pout is a quotation of the quacking noise your last girlfriend made during sex. When the telephone rings in the night because a stranger has given the wrong extension to the operator, it is a homage to the inadvertent substitution of telegrams that terminated your adulterous cousin's marriage, just as a resonant alcove between the counterpoised struts of your new girlfriend's clavicle is a rebuttal to the apparent beauty of your last girlfriend's fleshier décolletage. Or this is how it seemed to Egon Losers, anyway, because the two subjects most hostile to his sense of a man's life is an essentially steady, comprehensible, and Newtonian mechanical undertaking, where accidents and women. And it sometimes seemed as if the only way to prevent that dread pair from toppling him all the way into derangement was to treat them not as prodigies, but rather as texts to be studied. Hence the principle. Accidents, like women, allude. These allusions are no less witty or astute for being unconscious. Indeed, they are more so, which is one reason why it is probably a mistake to construct them deliberately. The other reason is that everyone might conclude that you are a total prick. And that was the final worry that fluttered through Egon Loeser's mind before he pulled the lever on his teleportation device, one morning in April 1931. If it went wrong, they would all say, for what possible reason did you name your experimental stagecraft prototype after the most calamitous experimental stagecraft prototype in the history of theater? Why make that allusion? Why hitch those two horses together? Paint the devil on the wall and the devil will come, as every child knows. Or to sieve the German idiom down to an English one, don't tempt fate. But Loeser was so unsuperstitious that he was superstitious about it. He'd once got up on stage of the Alien Theatre half an hour before the performance to shout Macbeth until he was hoarse, and one of his father's long-standing psychiatric patients had been an American financier who named his yacht Titanic, his daughters Goneril and Reagan, and his company Roman Empire Holdings in the same spirit. And that was when he saw it. The lone figure is standing on the roof of the nearest temple, on his right like a soliloquist on a raised stage, an animal that hadn't walked God's earth for more than 8 times 8 generations. An ape. Mordecai began to paddle as fast as he could, his elbow stinging with every splash of brine. As he drew closer, he could make out the ape in more detail. It had a bold, pink, snoutless face with sparse grey fur only on the top of its head. And like a Trodonian cantor, it wore woven clothing that covered almost its entire body. The fabric of the clothing looked soaked through, but at low tide, the lagoon here wasn't nearly up to the level of the roof, so the ape must have ascended from some lower section of the temple. And instead of a left eye, the ape had a meaty tunnel, although Mordecai had no way of telling if that was a wound or just a characteristic of its species. A collateral sense organ or a supplementary orifice, the ape was barking loudly. And of course, the noise itself meant nothing to Mordecai, but by the time the prow of his boat bumped up against the cracked and barnacled wall of the temple, he was close enough to hear the relict mammal on his own head. I don't know where I am, the ape was thinking. I don't know where I am. 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 I don't know where I am.
With that, we end today's session. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time.